Welcome to Podtendo, a Nintendo podcast, where they analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games.
Starting today, you will believe an ass this fat can fit into a cartridge this small.
I'm not fat. I'm getting in shape.
You better be, because South Park is under attack.
3350.
Ooh, naughty. Make love, not war.
Move along. I fought on your grid. Hey, stupid. I'm over here.
Comedy Central South Park, the video game. From Acclaim.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Podtendo podcast, where we analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games. We get contacted on YouTube, maybe email podtendo@gmail.com, or leave us a comment on our YouTube videos. It's probably the best way to get a hold of us. I'm Mick. You can find me on every episode by being joined by my lovely and talented co-host,
Tyson.
Cool. I like when I don't have confidence in our intros. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job on this Podtendo show, which is a review, retrospective, let's play pop culture show. So you're going to get a little bit of all four of those elements as we talk about some old retro video games. You were on a numbered show, so that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We do get a video game today. Oh, baby.
Yeah. It's a video game.
It's a video. Well, we were just feeling so waterlogged, right? We've been out of the Great Seas. We've been in Hyrule. We've been, flying around in the ocean or wherever you get around in that place in your little plane. It's fun. Sometimes you got to take a break, though, and just play a basic video game. Not one of these high-adventure airplane simulators like Wind Waker.
Yeah, or games where you need to solve puzzles or turn on your brain. Just play a game like South Park, where it's kind of brainless.
Oh boy, South Park 64, it sure is. So there is something to be said about what we're going to experience today. We'll get into it at some point. Maybe first memories. I don't want to give away too much at the beginning, but yeah, nostalgia. Sometimes it can be a real pain in the butt.
Yeah, it's a real can be a real double-edged sword on that one. Unfortunately, it's what do you do? But
I don't know.
Should we get into it?
I think so. Let's kind of just keep chipping away. So, like I said, we are playing on this numbered show South Park 64. It was developed by Iguana Entertainment, Appaloosa Interactive. So, it's a quality studio when we get the Appaloosa division. It sold under 1 million copies. It was released December 21st, 1998. How long to beat has this game at 5.5 hours? On eBay, a copy of this game goes from $30 to about $130, and it is not available for digital anywhere. So where to play, you would have to play on original N64 or a copy on the PS1. There is a PC release, so that is potential. Maybe it's on Steam, or I guess an emulator. But I don't know if it would be on Steam.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. That might be something you need to go to Good Old Games for. Okay,
there you go. Or yeah, some of the other subsidiary, right? So it's a little bit harder to find, but back in the day there was different versions of it. So you can't keep your eyes open there. Good times. But you know what? We can't do this, guys. We can't talk about this nostalgic game. We can't talk about this game that came out years ago without knowing what the pop cultural landscape was. Because what is even December 21st, 1998? We need some type of reference point. We need to create, what's that thing from Inception? A totem? We have to create a totem for ourselves so we can travel back to this time. On The Simpsons, you might have been watching Season 10, Episode 9, Mayored to the Mob. Homer becomes Mayor Quimby's bodyguard. Okay, all right.
That's all right.
Yeah, sure. Gets you there. Top 5 shows on TV that debuted this year were Two Guys, A Girl, and a Pizza Place, Charmed, Sex and the City, King of Queens, and That 70s Show.
Okay. That's definitely helps kind of figure out when this was. When you're like, oh, that 70s show was just starting. Those good old days.
Mindlessly watching television. This will help me keep reference throughout time. It has.
That's literally how I tell. I can tell where the fuck I was and what I was doing.
Top cartoons this month were Powerpuff Girls. Released this year, were Powerpuff Girls, Wild Thornberrys, Hercules, the animated series, Shadow Raiders, Pinky, Elmira and the Brain, and Silver Surfer.
Oh wow! I think I remember the the like launch or the pilot of Silver Surfer and being like, wow, this is gonna be so cool. I've know nothing about this character, and I remember like being super bored but just forcing my way through it. So
yeah, well, and that was one of those moments too. So this outline of kind of cartoons was, we had kind of 3 channels. You had your WB, so that was your Warner Brothers, right? Your Pinky and the Brains, your Animaniacs, your maybe your Static Shocks. There was an ABC constituency, so it was like your one Saturday morning, so your Recesses, maybe your Pepper Ann's, and then I think Silver Surfer was part of like the Fox lineup of shows, which usually was like at some point they started debuting like animes, but you get like the Silver Surfer and an Iron Man and then an anime and then whatever other property they had at the moment, right? So we fought about cartoons a lot. I kind of feel like I actually don't know what we watched.
oh, we watched some of Shadow Raiders, that's for sure.
Yeah, good old YTV. YTV, I guess, was the other constituency. I don't know if we actually had it on our cable channels, but one of the very first 3D shows made by a Canadian company, so Mainframe Entertainment, that did Reboot. This was like the second show after Reboot, but before Beast Wars. Or maybe it was during? I don't know. There's something going on with
maybe
Shadow
it's after Beast Wars. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Anyways, let's talk about the movies, because the cartoons, now you know what our Saturday mornings look like as children. Oh boy, that's a lot of information. Top movies. This week you could see Shakespeare in Love or You've Got Mail. Still in theater could be Enemy of the State and Rugrats, the movie. If you waited a week or two, you could see Patch Adams, Mighty Joe Young, and The Faculty.
Okay. We definitely watched most of these movies, except for like maybe Shakespeare in Love and You Got Mail, because, I mean, this internet seems scary.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we have AOL to protect us and keep us.
I don't want Meg Ryan to fall in love with me. She's too charming.
Yeah. No. And Rugrats movie. Did we see this in theaters? I feel like we saw Rugrats movie in theaters.
I mean, you may have. I did not. I think I was a little old at this point.
Older?
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did I watch any of these movies? Probably not. They all seemed kind of not in my wheelhouse, although I'm pretty sure I probably would have watched The Faculty the next year, so I feel like as like an 11-year-old, that seems like an appropriate movie to watch.
Yeah. Enemy of the States.
It's fine.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
so
whatever. It's kind of there. All right, and then finally, top video games. So release this month, I think it's released. So December of 1998, we saw the release of Gex, Enter the Gecko, Rogue Squadron, Hey You, Pikachu, Link's Awakening DX, Mario Party, and the Pokemon trading card game.
Oh, very cool. Like, yeah, this would be the Game Boy Color would probably just be coming out around here, because Link's Awakening DX was the colored one.
I don't know if it was a launch. It definitely is. No. It's definitely available for sure, but the Pokemon trading card game is just a regular Game Boy game. So they must have been doing both Game Boy Colored and Game Boy games at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm after we're done recording here, I'm going to go watch the Link's Awakening DX commercial.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's something there. Like it's opened a memory in my brain. And also, but on a different topic, like, come on. Who doesn't love Gex Enter the Gecko? It's probably another bad game I'm going to be forcing Nick to play.
Yeah, it's like, is this going to go into those things where, like, nostalgia-wise, we're like, yeah, this game is great. And then you play it and you're like, wow, the N64 had a bunch of trash. I guess this whole genre of, this whole, like, era of games are probably just trash.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think so. There's even the good games on N64 are sometimes not very good. So the dregs and the mediocre stuff can be really bad.
Yeah. But now we know what the pop cultural landscape is. Don't we feel more enlightened? And you're like, yes, that time. I see. Which does make sense. I think I did have a friend that got Link's Awakening DX for his Game Boy Color around this time, probably. So that is an actual... I'm like, okay, cool, that time. Let's look at the development details now that we know what the pop cultural landscape looks like. So, in the N64 version, the player can choose between 20 characters and 17 multiplayer levels, while on the PlayStation version, only 2 players can play, and you're limited to 6 multiplayer levels and 20 characters. South Park's reception depended on the platform. Overall, the game was met with negative critical reception from the PC and PlayStation versions, while the N64 version generally received mixed to positive reviews from critics. Next Generation reviewed the PC version of this game, rating it 3 out of 5 stars, and stated, once the initial chuckles wear off, whether in multiplayer or single-player mode, you're left with a first-person shooter, just like any other, and in fact, a not well designed as most. It is fun as the show it is based on, but its appeal is just as fleeting. The voice acting, done by the original voice actors, was criticized for being repetitive, isolated, and old. The weapons of the game were criticized for being unprofessional. Despite the negative reception from the Windows and PlayStation version, the Nintendo 64 version was praised for its 3D graphics and storyline, with IGN calling the game just as fun as the Comedy Central series. Well, I guess early episodes were kind of rough. Okay, sure, whatever. And then a Game Boy Color version developed by Crawfish Entertainment was in development, but it was eventually canceled due to the South Park creator Matt Stone and Trey Parker stating that the game would not be fitting on a Game Boy Color, as that console was marketed towards children. Hey, don't have integrity. Don't you dare have integrity at any point. Take that away. We know your history, Stone and Parker, all the terrible things. I know about the sex cults that you run. I watched that episode. However, they did keep a few copies of the Game Boy Color version to commemorate that there was originally stated as its first South Park game. Cool. All right.
That's so random. But this is a... It's weird when those few times where the N64 has more content than like the PlayStation. Because this actually, if you want to see the cutscenes, it's only in the N64 version, which is so crazy considering the N64 always had space limitations. So the fact that they got more is just so backwards. Like that obviously was like the main platform that they built it for, and then they just like tried to port it or make it work for PlayStation and PC, so they had to obviously drop some stuff or whatever they have to do. But
exactly, and it's probably a time constraint. They gave it to two, what are they called, interns in the corner, and said, hey guys, transfer all this over onto a disc. And at a certain point, they said, we can't get everything, and say, all right, well, let's edit, cut, go, right? But yeah, one of the few occasions that's the the N64 version's the superior version.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of cutscenes and sound effects. Like, you would think a CD disc would be way better at that.
In almost every other instance it is, but...
It could be a loading time thing, too, as well, right?
Yeah.
The data on a cartridge does move a little bit faster versus sitting and waiting, 2 minutes to load a cutscene, and then sitting and waiting 2 minutes on the PlayStation version. They might have just deemed that as being, it breaks the experience. We can't figure out the processing right now. Just cut it and move on, because it's going to take way, way, way too much.
That's fair. I have one note that's kind of under development, but I'm going to save it for the criticism and review section of this.
Yeah, okay. Sweet.
Just because it's from Trey Parker himself. So
okay, awesome. So the controls of this game is South Park is a first-person shooter. The game's single-player mode places the players in control of one of the four main characters, Cartman, Kyle, Stan, and Kenny. The player must defeat a variety of enemies using the variety of weapons found throughout each stage in order to reach the exit point at the end. In addition to completing levels, the player must also prevent large enemies in the stages dubbed tanks from reaching the exit before they do. If they fail to do so, they will be forced to defend South Park from the tanks in a short minigame called the Penalty Round after the stage. In head-to-head mode, the player selects a level, character, and game style, time-limited, damage-limited, or unending. The Microsoft Windows version allows for online head-to-head play. Huh, cool.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, I found this game kind of it's very repetitive, where you just try to kill all the tanks and make your way to the end. But if a tank escaped, then you go and you have to kill it and save the town, because there'll be a little bar of the town burning or whatever as it's destroying all the buildings. But it's kind of good to let at the beginning part of the game, let a tank go or two, because when they go and destroy some of the buildings, you'll get a upgrade sooner, or a weapons upgrade sooner than you would regularly. So it almost makes sense to just let a tank or two go. But yeah, this game is clunky.
It is not. Yeah, there's lots of issues. We'll get into it. Why isn't this game very good? Oh yes, you in the back. Because it's a licensed title and they just pumped out something to take on the popularity of the TV show at the time. Yeah, that's probably actually right. So, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, perfect, awesome. So that's really what we're dealing with, guys. It's a licensed product. Going back to it, sometimes they excel, sometimes they're poopy. And today, are we dealing with this? Probably. Yeah, cool. First memories, though. That's a fun thing. Tyson, what are your first memories of South Park 64?
I feel like one of my friends rented it, and we played it at like a birthday party or something, because we were big South Park fans or what at the time. Yeah. So, yeah, kind of that's my first memory. And I remember playing it kind of on and off. Sometimes maybe in university. But
really? Okay, awesome. Yeah, for myself as well, I knew that there was this. It was shoot. How do I describe that? What's the word I want to use? I want to use a word to make me sound smart. So let's fumble around and look for it. It seemed like it was a cultural milestone, this show of South Park that was coming out. It came through the zeitgeist. It was a bad cartoon, right? The kids swore. It was funny. And kids weren't allowed to watch it. So what's the first thing happens when you tell children they're not allowed to watch a show? They just watch it. They go to masses and they watch the show, right? So we knew it was coming. We've heard about South Park. Friends could watch it. You tell each other on the playground, and not having satellite, just having basic cable at the time. I don't think South Park was available to us, right? Not having the Comedy Central at least. So it was kind of this mythological event, right? This game was actually one of my first introductions to South Park. So I was a little bit young for the series when it debuted. And in order to watch it, you had to wait till it was 12:30 or 1 or something like that on Friday nights. And you'd have to watch it was channel 9 or 12 or something on our cable package, right? So you're up pretty late. 12:31 Friday night. Yeah, you can do it as a kid. It's fine, right? But it's pushing it a little bit. We rented this game when I went to a friend's house, and I was like, "This is awesome, great." It had so much fun. It had crude humor. There was fart jokes. It seemed like it was great. It was this hot new IP on the playground, and here was my opportunity to live in this world, right? You met all the players. You got to go into this world. I remember putting the cheats on, and I got to the final boss, and I probably spent an hour or so trying to fight the stupid robot machine guy. Couldn't kill him. Almost got him at one point. His health was down to a sliver, and then he goes and he recharged, and my friend lost it. He threw a controller. He wasn't even playing. He was just watching me, but he was so upset he left the room. He sulked outside for a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, this seems irrational, but whatever. This game, and I think the very first episode I saw was the spooky version episode of South Park, right? So that's the one where they have an alternate dimension, and there's fish that kill people, and Barbara Streisand's around the outside. So I just kind of assumed that South Park was a kids' X-Files. They dealt with parallel dimensions, and they fought big turkeys, and there was clones. That was kind of my first experience. So we all know what South Park is. We all know what it's become. We all know its legacy. But early on in its inception, this was kind of my first take on this series.
Oh, very cool. You remember way more than I do. I remember having a hazy memories of laughing about the chicken launcher where it shoots eggs out of its butt.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I tend to have pretty well-defined memories throughout my entire life, so...
That's good. I apparently was just cruising.
Yeah.
I never paid attention to much.
No, that's it. Cool. So there you go. So here we go. This is my first, whatever. I mean, early South Park up until episode or season 6 of South Park is kind of terrible.
I have a soft spot for it, and I know, but even Matt and Trey Parker say that the first 4 seasons or 5 seasons, they're we had no idea what we're doing. This is unwatchable to us.
Yeah.
But I'm I laugh because I'm man, the Saving the Rainforest episode is hilarious. The caveman, the guy from the strange time of 1998. And he has to listen to I Saw the Sign the whole time. It's or Ace of Base.
Yes.
Because they don't want because he's 2 years ago, and then he ends up moving to moves somewhere somewhere in not Colorado, but like Arkansas or something, and it's because it's 2 years behind.
It's eclectic for sure, right? It's one of those shows. It's evolved into something a bit more, and it's evolved a couple times, right? It became a soapbox for these guys to kind of talk, to give their takes on things around the world, right? So like it has evolved. Early on, it wasn't a Kids South Park or a Kids X-Files, so I was like, oh, neat, awesome.
No.
All right.
Nope, it was not.
Okay, now that that is all out of the way, let's talk about the game, shall we? Let's do this game proper. Get into it. Talk about this game top to bottom. Get that nostalgia over, and then we'll see where we end up today. So the story of this game. A mysterious comet is approaching the Earth, described by the opening narration as a force of concentrated evil that no force of good can stand up against. As it comes closer, South Park is beset by enemies, including rabid mutant turkeys, deformed clones of the town folks, alien visitors, berserk robots, and sentient killer toys. Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny hear about the dangers from Chef and take up arms to investigate the source and defend the town. Okay. A level 1.
Yeah.
Or level 9.
Yeah. I always forget that it revolves around a comet.
Yeah. Well, isn't there an episode about a comet in the TV show? Isn't there like a 3-parter? Isn't that the...
Yeah, well, that's like, there's like a comet shower.
Meteor shower, and like 3 different events happen. So, I don't know. For some reason, they were like, it's like kind of like the show. I don't know.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. But it's like very random. Very, very random.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's I guess, give yourself a plot. Who cares? All right, we can go. Move forward. All right, so level 1 is Operation Turkey Butt. So we must fight through town, up the surrounding hills, fight a big turkey on top of the mountain, and need to destroy him before he returns down the mountain and destroys the town. Okay. Operation Turkey Butt. Do anything for you?
There's a lot of turkeys you got to shoot. It's kind of fun to explore the town and see everybody. Nothing that super stands out. It's hey, turkeys from that turkey episode. It's funny. I might. I'll do this later. Later.
Yeah, for myself, it is very. I want to listen to this. I want to play this game with sound on. There's lots of gobble, 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 and you're sweet, kick ass, sweet. And it's really obnoxious. So listen to something else. Please, for the love of God, listen to something else, because it's just sweet. I don't know if I can do it. Mission 2, though, is a clone of your own. So clones appear in town. It is up to the boys to destroy the tanks before they cause too much damage. We end up in a fight with a giant blob clone near City Hall. Yeah,
weird boss battle, but it's kind of reminiscent of, like, Trapper Keeper episode.
Yeah, sure.
But holy moly, and what, like... You have to shoot it in the eye, and I was not dealing with it. I had invincibility, unlimited ammo, so I could just hold down the thing and spray. But my gosh,
I absolutely played the game in the exact same way, and there are some parts where I'm like, how would you beat this regularly? I don't know.
It's like, this doesn't seem fair at times.
Not at all, right? So it's not. Speaking of not fair. Mission 3, close encounters of the bovine kind. So you start in the mountains, cows bull rush you, and if they hit you, they send you flying across the screen. These guys just absolutely launch you. So the tanks in this one are flying saucers. We uncover a well-protected alien craft, and if you didn't have cheats on, killing all the aliens that just infinitely spawn around the craft for like 10 minutes, I imagine you probably would be loving your life. You must destroy an army of aliens before gaining access to the ship. Fight through corridors of enemies, and finally come face to face with the ship's core. Also one of those areas. Conveyance in this one, there was a couple times I was completely lost, walking around, trying to do these like crazy platforming over the stacked crates throughout this area, kind of the big warehouses on this ship. And then I'd like, oh no, you just have to go over to this door. Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's in this episode or this like mission, but there's a you just wander around and like, where the heck do I go? And you have to just start you have to jump up these random rocks. They're just sitting there. Like, there's nothing that like obviously says like, hey, these rocks you should climb these rocks. Nothing. It just looks like some rocks. But I wandered around the entire level like again and again and again. It's like, okay, I have nowhere. Where the f am I going? It's like, oh, I gotta climb these rocks. Okay, that's so freaking random.
So most of these levels, the benefit for being set in South Park is a snowy, rocky mountain town. Great, awesome. One thing that the draw distance on N64 does is it does kind of like a foggy smoke effect pretty well. It doesn't play terrible with the snow. Can I believe that we're just in like a snowy little town because of the draw distance? 100%. But the levels are open. The map isn't comprehensive. It's just an absolute mess. However, they do have red arrows all over the place. So as soon as you find an arrow, you kind of set yourself up in the direction you want to go, and I just run in that direction until I find another arrow for the most part, right? Lots of these levels aren't well constructed. The conveyance isn't there. It seems like a pretty rudimentary first-person shooter that was just thrown together without much care.
Yeah, this is like a game.
There's actually no care, or like they fucked up when they start putting red arrows to point you around the world, like you're like fucking Bugs Bunny or something like that. Right?
Yeah, seriously. Like I was thinking, they're like, looks like it's straight from the Looney Tunes, but it's wow. This game has the feeling of somebody made their very first video game and they don't know what fun mechanics are. They know what are stuff that's in games, but they just don't know like what makes a game fun. And it's like it's like they just throw crap in there just to throw crap in there. And so it's like we're just gonna throw hordes of enemies because that's in shooters games. It's just hordes of enemies. We're just gonna throw like piles of turkeys at you, piles of aliens at you, piles of or like cows at you, and we're just gonna keep throwing them at you. We're just gonna throw herds because that's fun, right? If just like you have to kill hundreds of these games, or hundreds and hundreds of these hordes. That's all you have to do. Yeah. It's like, that's like, yes, that is first person shooting, but is that a good game?
Mm-hmm. Well, and like what they're basing, what are the games that are like first person shooters that came out? You get your Dooms, your Wolfenstein 3Ds, right? Similar concepts. They're a bit more refined on the consoles, at least by GoldenEye?
Yeah.
Right? And then, like, there was nothing super great, but GoldenEye's not the worst experience in the world, right? Quake?
No.
I bet you there was a Quake or something out at this point as well.
Yeah.
And then
I'm sure there's a Duke Nukem or stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, they're, like, and even in, like, okay, even in Doom, well, there's keys you have to grab, and then you can unlock doors. This game is just like, here's a hallway, I guess, and kill a bunch of guys, and then we're going to have a little yellow text saying, door opened. Well, because they had to write door opened because there's no connection between kill all enemies and door open.
So on the N64 alone, just from what we've talked about in the last couple of years, GoldenEye and Turok both exist, right? So I was going to make maybe the argument of being like, well, maybe the game designers it was like early in 3D gaming.
Yeah, give them benefit of the doubt. No. It's like their first game. So dumb.
There's examples of how to do this, right? And I agree 100%. To make a map that works, you kind of have to, if you want to do platforming and you want to make it a bit more action-y, adventure-y, Turok. Use the Turok. Your Reticon is actually your targeting, as well as you know where you're on a map, and it's an overlay. It kind of works. It's a better system than what we were given, right? Because it's just...
So, you know what's funny? That we're talking about Turok right now. This game is based off the Turok 2 engine, and this game is made by Iguana. So, like, there's literally a precedent in that fucking building. Like,
yeah, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I saw Iguana, and I was like, hey, Turok. And I've completely forgot about it till this moment.
Yeah, well, it's like, but this, like, so this game's, like, powered by the Turok 2 game engine. So, like, they had Turok 1... And like, no, like, let's just use Turok 2. It's a better engine. Okay. What are we going to use it for? Let's spawn more enemies.
Wow. So now, so before we go, Iguana Entertainment Appaloosa Interactive. So it's not Iguana Entertainment Interactive.
So it's the N64 and PC is Iguana Entertainment. And the PS1 is Appaloosa Interactive.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, this is literally made by Iguana.
Oh. Okay. Well, I don't know what to... I can't make up... I mean,
We can't keep making excuses for these guys. They made a bad game.
Budget. Like you look at Turok as like a great premium title, and this is kind of like again a licensed product. So they're like, just throw the B team on it. That's exactly what happened, right? Like they definitely didn't put the high end talent on this, and it's probably something in the budget, but it's just
also Iguana's doing dumb stuff. Like, hey, if you get a tattoo of Turok on your body, you could win $1 million, and dumb stuff like that. Like. They are spending dumb amounts of money, and they're about to go bankrupt in like 3-4 years right now because Iguana's run by idiots.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was a whole bankruptcy thing that we talked about with Turok. Okay, yeah, so it's probably not the best well-run organization. So like, what happened in the last?
They got lucky with Turok, and the rest of it was like. Oof.
Do you think they laid off a bunch of the better developers and brought on cheap staff and like we can do it again? And then this happens, and they're like, well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for sure. It's like, hey, come to Iguana. We made Turok. We made a big landmark title. So we got some cachet, and they ran that company into the ground by doing dumb stuff.
I was really excited to play this game. I was like, man, what a premium title. I'm so excited to play all these awesome games this year. And South Park 64, oh boy, we'll like that one. What happened?
Yeah, I was like, it's not going to be terrible. It's not gonna be the worst game.
We haven't got through the review, folks. We're not having a good time. We're still talking. We have 2 missions to go. All right, so mission 4. Something wicked this way, Clucks. South Park is run over by robots. You must clear the streets, stop the tanks before pursuing the robots up the mountain. Following some seismic activity. Near the top of the mountain, we witness Jimbo and Ned being taken inside a factory. After defeating a robot piloted by Mr. Hat, we stop the robots.
Yep. Not this. I think there's like a little bit of like the mountain climbing. Platforming in this game is like, oh, you're gonna make me platform. Because I've just tried to avoid it. Like if there's a ladder, I'm like, I'm not going up it unless I have to.
Did I fall down?
I fell down a couple times, and I found that I had to jump and push forward. Release, jump, push forward, release, and like I couldn't just hold forward and spam the jump or whatever.
Because then you get ricocheted off of items, like you go backwards.
Yeah,
when I was in the alien ship, I was trying to do some platforming, and I was trying to do these little steps, and I kept pressing forward, and I would jump, and I'd end up on the floor because as you're in the air, you kind of like bounce off and fall back, and I'm like, oh, this game, like forward just make me go forward. Why am I being like resistive to this object?
Yeah, or my personal favorite is like you make the first jump, you make the second jump, but you do not release at the exact time, and your character just flies over that box. Because apparently they can just jump huge distances when you're pressing forward or whatever.
I had something. One of the enemies, as soon as you enter the factory, knocked me backwards, and I fell from the factory down the cliff to the bottom and had to climb back up.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So then I went and found a corner in the room, and I was like, I don't care if you guys knock me back, I'm not leaving this factory, and stayed as far away from the door as possible. So good times. Mission 5 though, which is the last mission of the game, which is pretty exciting. So some disassembly required. Toys have now taken over South Park. We must clear the streets of the Jack in the Box tank. I thought that was pretty funny because he's not only a jackass, but he's also Jack Nicholson. He has Jack Nicholson quotes. It's a Jack in a Box, and I was like, okay, that's actually really funny. That's clever. Credit to whoever wrote that in the game, because a Jack in a Box. Good times. Before fighting through a very hard maze-like enemy-filled parking lot, and enter the big box store. A final showdown with the boss, Mighty Mega Man. And then the game's over. And then Cartman says, and then Polly Pissy Pants all over. Sweet. And that's the game.
Yeah, I chose Kenny as my starting character, so I didn't hear a lot of Cartman.
Okay.
Because I don't know what weapons.
It seems like I didn't hear any of Cartman because I had the sound turned off the whole time. I've just played this game before in my life, so. Sweet.
Yes, you still got that. Those sound effects will.
Yeah.
The turkeys for me. Oh, the turkeys.
Yeah. Oh, doesn't that when they start coming down in hordes and it's like and they're just everywhere and you're like, this is terrifying. Oh God, so terrifying.
Yeah, as a kid, I could see why I like this game.
Wait a second.
This is genuinely horror.
You blow on the South Park sign as you're looking, and it's Silent Hill, and you're like, the horror is real.
It all makes sense. Did you find out so I was just mindlessly killing because just holding down the trigger kills everything in this game.
Yep.
I was fighting Mighty Mega Man, and I was like, why is he like? How do I stop him from gaining health? Do I have to like do more damage? Like, do I have to do headshots? And I'm like, got the floatiest controls in the world, so I'm trying to make this thing work. And it's like, oh, there's a giant, and I had to watch a video. I watched somebody's video, and they just shoot the giant red button next to him. I'm like, oh, that's a red button?
Oh.
I thought that was just like a decoration. My brain did not clue into that.
But, like, how do you shoot the red button? Because I would sit there, and I would have my little dart shooter with my infinite ammo, and as soon as he went to a charge, I would sit there, and I'd have it cued on that red button, and he would still get, like, 75% of his health back.
So I was...
And
the only weapon that I found did damage to him consistently was with the Terrence and Phillips balls.
The gas one.
The gas one.
Yeah.
I would just throw it on him, and it would slowly drop. And then I would switch to the chicken shooter, which was like the better weapon. And then I would just hold it on the red dot, and I literally would just like, oh, he's going for it, and I just hold it, dude, like, and yeah. So I don't know, because I tried to just like, I tried it a couple times.
Did you beat him?
I did. But it was like I straight up like throw the grenades, and then as soon as he turned around, and started walking away from me because I was semi far away, I just would hold on that stupid thing, and I would just like shoot it as fast as I could with the chicken launcher, which shoots kind of slow.
Yeah.
But I tried it with other weapons, and it didn't seem to be as consistent. So it was like use the chicken launcher to shoot the red button, and throw the Terrence. For the Philip dolls.
Maybe after this podcast, I'll try once more. So for myself, fighting Mighty Mega Man, I couldn't beat him as a kid. So we outlined that earlier in First Memories. I played it must have felt like half an hour, and it was same thing. Unlimited ammo. I knew about the red button. I knew I had the gas attacks, but I just couldn't get him. I tried 3 separate occasions on this playthrough, and I couldn't get it. I got to the same point. I finally watched a walkthrough, and the guy that beat him, he like lured him across the room, threw a doll, like ran away, and then threw another doll, and then the guy's health bar just like drained. And I was like, well, that's cheating. Like, I'm sure that doesn't happen. So I was like, so what's the strategy? But this guy also, who was like really good at this game, also it was like a 10-minute video of him fighting, and it was just like, it seemed like it was the same thing over and over again. So it's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like but it pissed me off because I was like, I'm not gonna let this shitty game fucking defeat me. I'm killing this son of a bitch. And that was the only success that I found.
Okay, I took defeat, so I was fine with that. So the review of this game. So kind of more like our side quest cinemas. There's not much to talk about in this game. I was like, how are we going to talk for more than like 10 minutes on this game? Okay, we went on a little bit of a rant, so kind of got us there. Yep. But we'll do a review. And current thoughts, cultural significance, well, GTFO. So, reviews, our favorite part of this game. So what is your favorite part of South Park 64? For myself, I didn't experience it this time, but from the past, the game's multiplayer. It's N64, had 20 characters, 17 playable levels, and most of the reviews discredited all other versions of this game since the main campaign is kind of limited and annoying. But I kind of agree with the reviews that the multiplayer holds up from my past experience. I think I spent the majority of the time when I was younger playing this with friends in the multiplayer, right? It's not a terrible experience, and that's probably why you have this game and want to play it as a kid, is because it's not for the terrible story or the annoying enemies or the repetitive sound effects. It's to have a fun first person shooter with your friends, right? It's the same thing as why do we love Diddy Kong Racing so much? It's that freaking ice pyramid, man. Like, that ice pyramid was like the jam back in the day. That was the best multiplayer level, right? That's why I love that game. Playing it by myself, I'm like, it's okay, but I kind of wish I could run around in a little cart and shoot people with my heat-seeking missiles. So yourself, what is your favorite part of this game?
Yeah, after replaying the story, I got to go with the multiplayer. I didn't like have anyone to play with it, but it's like I just know that the multiplayer is way more fun. Because that's really all that we would do, and to have 17 like levels and 20 characters, like that's a good chunk. And it was so funny to pee on the urine snowball and throw it on your friends. That was the funniest thing as a kid. So yeah, to me, it's like, it's gotta be the multiplayer. Solid.
Nice. So about most notable scene or part of this game. So it's been a while, right? We haven't played this probably since, like 24 years or something, 25 years probably, kind of thing for me. Yeah. Man, I'm old. What has happened? What is life?
It just keeps ticking. It's like a clock.
So it's been a while since you played this game. what do you remember? So is it meeting / seeing the 4 main characters, the turkey butts, seeing the memorable characters from the show on your N64, the funny catchphrases, sweet, the aliens, the gals, giant enemy bosses? How about meeting up with Chef?
For me, my most notable part is that first level, the turkeys.
Okay.
It's so terrifying as kids, and it was like there's hordes of them. I'm gonna die, and they will peck you to death. I just remember that like vividly. That when I think of this game, that's what I think of is the turkeys.
So for myself, I it's that damn boss, that final boss. Like, it has eluded me my whole life, 25 years. Haven't been able to beat him. And it sticks with me, right? That experience of trying to get to the final boss, almost beating this game, right? Almost getting to see that, and then kind of being that failure, and just seeing the disappointment on my friend's face, and just how upset he was. And I was like, I think you care more about this than I do. Like, do you want to play? Because I don't care that much. I don't know if I'll play this game in the next 25 years, to be perfectly honest with you. And he's like, yeah, right. I play this game all the time. You love it. Shut up. That probably my most notable part is just that's increased difficulty, as well as that dart gun. Like it's a little spinny wheel and it just pumps out darts. Yep. Seems like a sweet dart gun. Like, if I was into like Nerf guns or like wanted a gun, that's the gun I'd want. So like that one enemy or that one weapon, and just the story overall is kind of stuck with me all this time.
Yeah, I guess the weapon design is pretty cool. Like I like the weapon designs have always kind of stood out. Like the little thing that shoots piranha.
Yeah.
That's a fun weapon. I use that weapon a lot.
Or
shoots fast.
You can like change the setting, and then it's like a shrink ray, but it just destroys the toys and the maybe it's the toys and the clones or something. It was really useful against one of the enemies, maybe the aliens.
I used it like as my go-to for a lot of stuff. I used that to take down like flying saucers.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was hilarious that they're like, yes, nothing beats a flying saucer like piranha.
Like, sure, piranhas. Okay, cool. How about our least favorite part of this game? So, about the repetitive sound effects. I know there wasn't much lore out of South Park when this came out, right? But man, they got annoying really quickly. Good thing you can silence the game noise and listen to music /podcast /movies. Cool. All right, what's your least favorite part of this game?
Mine's the controls. It's so wonky. This is one of the first time I actually had to like switch, like, because there's the joystick and the C buttons. Like the joystick will move you up, down, left, right, and the like C buttons aim. But that's not how modern first-person dual sticks use it. So I had to like swap the side buttons of the C with the joystick and vice versa. And it was just like, this is so janky. And I'm sure that's probably why it doesn't work great. But just trying to aim in a first-person shooter should not be like, like you look up, no, you're looking down. Now you're looking up, now you're looking down. It's just like, I'm having to just spray and pray. I play first-person shooters constantly. And there's no way of changing the settings. So it's either like all or nothing. There's no fluidity to them. So for me, my least favorite part, because I could deal with everything else, but as soon as the controls are bad, I want out.
Yeah, that's not good, because I'm looking at my criticism and it talks about things that aren't controls. And I agree that the controls in this game are terrible. So let's see what our final criticism, one more negative point, and then we'll be nice, I guess, afterwards. But my final criticism for South Park 64 is this game's difficulty is a bit much. Enemies soak up all the ammo, it's limited, and it can create some frustrating / annoying parts of the game. The levels are bland, uninteresting, and just frustrating at points. The enemies aren't much of a challenge, but there's just more frustration. And the weapons kind of start off cute, and by the end of the game, like, you don't have anything fun or useful. Like, it's kind of, you're right. Pea snowballs spraying at your friends, hilarious. The little Nerf gun, awesome. The laser gun, cool. Almost every other weapon in the game is borderline unusable, or there is no point, and you end up using 2 or 3 weapons. Like, what was the point of having this big, large, I mean, maybe for multiplayer, cool, awesome, but at the same time, just a couple weapons. Like, you don't have to like reinvent the wheel, just keep it simple. And the fact that you couldn't take a game like Turok and just translate that engine into a playable game, I don't know. I think we weren't probably playing with the most stacked deck of development teams, right, when it came to this. But final criticism for yourself?
It's the gameplay loop. It's like it's not fun. The thing about Turok is like, yeah, there's some enemies, but you're also like exploring and there's things to do. Like, yeah, the platforming sucks, but like the gameplay is pretty fun. This gameplay is arduous because aiming up down is frustrating, and that's fine for the first part of the game, but then you get to like the aliens who are like sticks and so hard to hit, or like a little race car and some airplanes, like little toy airplanes that bombard you and have actually, you know what, the airplane sound effects of bombing, while like, oh, this is an interesting take on it, it's like spams, and it just is so grating to the ears and like unbelievable.
I must have.
I can't believe that the testers actually played.
I must have had the sound on because yes, the little. Well, at one point I couldn't advance because it killed enemies. Well, the planes kept flying around, and I thought they kept like crash bombing me. And I was like, oh great, I don't have to kill them. But then they kept seeing the enemy dots, and I was like, oh, I have to kill the planes. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I guess I'll just take my weapons that don't shoot well or have terrible reload times or not enough. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Oh, and like trying to aim up, just holding a looking up aim. Good luck. It's gonna float up and down and up and down and up and down this whole time while you're trying to shoot these little tiny pixely planes. And you're like, this is fun. This is a fun time. I'm wasting my time.
I'm having fun.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. How about
So that was my criticism.
Okay. How about something nice, and then we don't say anything else nice about the game. So, all in all, for pumping out a licensed title, it's not easy. It's just a cash grab. It's pretty common. Whereas the main story does leave something to be desired. The overall amount of content, right? If you had this game and 4 friends at a sleepover, you probably would have some fun with the multiplayer, right? And difference in level / fun of the game. I think it's okay, right? This would entertain 4 boys on a sleepover, right? And I think they'd all have a good time. I don't think we have to kind of just discredit that. It's just leaves a little bit to the imagination, right? I don't know. I kind of wish the game was something nice, brought something to the table, was good, other than it would be fine to play one time, but that's it. You don't ever have to play it again after that. So
and
a rental game, is that what we classify that as? A game if you played one time you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But
yeah, okay, this isn't a game that you're gonna run out and buy and throw it on the shelf. I guess my praise is it's a South Park game. You gotta explore the South Park world. There's lots of different references. So if you're a South Park fan, you're gonna get something that's decent. I'm not gonna say this is good, but it's like if you're a South Park fan, you'll kind of enjoy it.
Solid.
But it's definitely flawed. And I was gonna go a different way with my praise, but I'm gonna save that for current thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I guess because it is kind of get repetitive in a game that doesn't have a lot of information or content. You kind of just say the same thing. So cool. So the ending. All right. So guys, we did it. We defeated Mighty Mega Man, which, Jack in a Box, Mighty Mega Man, those character names are fucking awesome. Like, this game almost has me just for those 2 concepts. I must have listened to the sound because I knew it was Jack Nicholson because I heard him say something. He's like, here's Johnny. And I'm like, oh, Jack in the Box. And he's a donkey. That's clever. All right. Ending. So after defeating the toy, Cartman is shown talking to Polly Prissy-Pants and the Clam Guy about how he is a hero. The boys then talk to Chef as a safe drops and kills Kenny. The end.
Yep. And they ponder who is killing Kenny. Why do they say they?
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Kurt, thoughts? This game is fueled by nostalgia in my brain. Before playing this game, I would have told you that this game holds up with the stick of truth as one of the better South Park games / experiences. However, after revisiting the old 3D shooter, I don't think it's a very good game. There is not enough enjoyable content and adventure to make it worth a return. There are much better first-person shooters and better South Park games, so unless you have nostalgia, that itch, I don't think I would recommend playing this game. Maybe pick it up on a Saturday afternoon if you're bored and you want to, you're like, how bad could it be? It is that bad. You could save that afternoon and do anything else. Anything else.
Yeah.
So,
listen to us.
Current thoughts. What are yourself, Tyson? Current thoughts?
Yeah, I I'm very much in. I thought this game was a fine game. So I kind of was like, we'll throw South Park. Let's do South Park. It'll be fun. But at the end of it, it's like, wow, this game is pretty crappy. And this is what I was going to say. So on a DVD commentary for Starvin' Marvin, Trey Parker called it the crappiest video game, mostly because of the first level where you repetitively shoot hordes of turkeys.
Okay.
Like most South Park merchandise released at the time, Parker was pretty bummed out about it. Because of this, Matt and Trey haven't agreed to develop many video games since its release. So because this game was crappy, they said no to video games. They said they dropped that crap off, and they were like, no. And that's why we got Stick of Truth. So because of this game and its crappiness and how much Matt and Trey hated it, we eventually got a very solid, I would say, a great experience. Actually, two of them, with Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole. But they were like, no, we are going to put some quality control on this thing. No more cash grabs. So that is, I think that this game is definitely super flawed, but because of it, we ended up getting some good things. So,
what the hell? You have this rant. I have nothing for cultural significance. I'm like starving for information, and you're smacking out DVD commentaries. God damn it.
Yeah, well, I found it was a Wikipedia entry, and it just I literally read the whole thing while I was bored at work one day. So
no, I'm almost kidding. Oh, cool, awesome, yeah. I am interested. So speaking of which, South Park 64. We just released South Park video game on the internet. What has come out in March? Did South Park Snow Day not come out?
It's coming out in as of recording about 6 days. I think it's March 15th.
Initial release date will be March 26th. So
right.
It actually came out on Tuesday. So it came out 4 days ago after you're hearing this.
Okay.
Which is a first-person 3D shooter set in South Park.
Yes.
I've seen some... I don't know. I don't love the screenshots I'm seeing. Like, it looks kind of like they just took the worst screenshots imaginable.
Well, and to me, it's like... So THQ Nordic is making this game. They've been struggling to produce solid games lately. But this game is a budget title. It's $30.
Yeah.
So really keep that in the back of your head. Like, this is going to be a super budget game that's more focused on the online multiplayer.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. To me, it's another live service game that I'm going to probably just avoid.
Well, if we were on the ball and smart and really gave it our all, this was great timing. Like, we're talking about this old South Park first-person shooter days after the new one came out. Man, we're good marketers. Definitely wasn't an accident.
Well, we fall into that. We fall upwards all the time,
right?
When it comes to this stuff.
And I've heard lots of rumors that an HD Switch version of Wind Waker might be coming out this year. I was like, oh, that's another one we're tacked onto. We were almost dialed into X-Men, right? We almost had X-Men dialed in with the new show. We've been good. It's just Anyways, good job us. Sometimes it kind of works out. What would you change? I have no fan theory. Are you buying it section? Because I was like, I don't know. There's nothing. South Park's changed so much. So there's literally nothing in this game that have any relevance to the future. What would you change? So I would create maybe a usable radar system. Give us a bit more conveyance that isn't just red arrows. Similar to maybe the map overlay from Turok, like I mentioned. And then tone down the cheapness of the final boss. I've been trying to beat him for 25 years. Haven't done it. We'll never do it. Maybe next go round.
Yeah, when you have invincibility and unlimited ammo and all the weapons, and it's still messed up, you have a bad boss. This is bad.
If I'm using cheats and I have unlimited ammo and invincibility, and you want to create some type of weird cap on your boss to make him incredibly difficult, cool. Versus, I take the cheats away, all of a sudden his difficulty decreases. I don't hate that. Actually, you know what? That's kind of cool. That's a kind of cool flex. But hey, you want to cheat to beat my game? You got to work hard. I don't hate that, right? I don't hate that. But don't make a cheap boss just for a cheap boss sake because you need the kids to keep playing your game because they spent the full price monies on it. No. Yourself, what would you change?
Yeah, that's you know what? You hit the thing on the head. Obviously, platforming's frustrating.
Damn it! We're out of things to build this house. All we have is wood. We need the things. Go get the things. Come back.
Yeah, and it's
They're called
bad conveyance.
They're called nails.
Yes. No, this game is. I don't like it. I thought I was gonna like it, but I ended up just not liking it.
Yeah, that's good.
There would be a lot I'd need to change. I think it's funny because Matt or Trey Parker, whatever was criticizing the first level. It's like I like the first level, but maybe that's because the rest of it just gets progressively worse.
Yeah. You almost do wonder if you could have just done like a skin redesign, like go into Turok, turn all the textures to snow, all the enemies to turkeys. I don't care. Sure, turkeys and Mr. Hankies. Whatever. And then Turok could have just been one of the and like you could have just reskinned Turok. Like you could. There's probably some type of hacker or programmer or game designer now that could just take Turok and make a better South Park 64, just reskinning that game.
Yeah. Like I'm sure there's some mods out there that would be like, or some modders that would be like, oh, let me tear into this and just literally do character swaps. Because honestly, what you could just instead of let's collect all the boys, like just let you select the boys.
Yeah.
And then like when your character dies, you just choose another boy.
I must have selected something too. I think there's like a DK big head mode cheat or something in the cheat menu. I think I just turned them all on without thinking. So the first time I was playing, and the boys are all these fucking deformed monsters with these long arms and heads, and like Stan was chasing me down, and I was firing him, and I was like, "Get away from me, you fucking clone!" And it took me like a hot second to be like, "Oh no, that's just how deformed." I was like, "Why does everyone look so deformed?" And it took me, I don't know, probably a level or two before I went and changed, and I was like, "That's better," because at first I thought Stan was a horrible monster. So.
That's funny. It's like, what are you mutants?
Yeah, get away! Just pumping them full of my like piranhas, and I'm like, oh wait, never mind. That's my friend. Oh, cool.
Oh, I gotta save you. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
I also look like a weird freak in this game. Like,
they're just horrible monsters. So, but that ends South Park 64. How cute! What a cute little day. We've got a cultural significance, and then we are out of here, and then we're back to the Great Sea. And hang out with that cute little Toon Link after this. Pretty exciting. So in this section, we look at game design, the lore inspirations, turning points, interesting stories, talk how this game relates, give other examples, and tie it all back together in the end. This game gave us some content when compared to the earliest seasons of the show. Gave us some content when I don't know what that means, but compared to the South Park we know today, I see. I would say it's a failed licensed experiment. Okay, cool, awesome. So in honor of this game being such a poor experience, let's look at the top 10 worst/best licensed games. It's been a while since we've read lists, and I think that's fitting to not try on a game that didn't try. Agreed?
Yeah. No, okay. Agreed.
Cool. So let's do the worst list, and then we'll do the best list instead of jumping between them. Because let's end with something good. So the worst licensed games, according to some website, I think it was 15, but I cut it down to 10. So number 10 is 2016's Ghostbusters. Okay. Right.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. It looks cute. It's a fun little cartoon, but apparently that's not very good. Okay, how about Superman 64? Yeah.
Yeah. That one's pretty notorious.
Just bad controls. Again, bad license people. It's probably made by these people. Iguana Entertainment Appaloosa. Terminator Salvation at number 8. Don't remember that one. Number 7 was...
Yeah, I played that one. Okay. It's pretty bad.
How about the movie tie-in for the MCU's first entry, Iron Man, at number 7. I kind of remember...
Oh, yeah.
I remember that coming out, and that being one of those games where it's like, you stand there and you just press A and it like targets all the enemies, and then you go to the next room, and you repeat, and then the game's over, and I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, it's a bad one. It's a bad one.
I think Thor, one of the first Thor, also had a licensed game that was similar. It was just like, you guys don't know what you're doing with these. Like, these are just terrible. 2013's Walking Dead Survival Instinct at number 6.
Yeah, besides the, like, Telltale games, the Walking Dead series seems to struggle coming up with good games.
Number 5 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan.
Yeah, that one, if I'm thinking of the one it's essentially just like a extremely difficult beat 'em up.
Yeah. Number 4 is Fight Club, although they can't talk about it, so that's kind of a disservice. Number 3 is The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That's the one that just came out?
No, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the Andrew Garfield, the second movie tie-in game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. Wow. that, yeah, the movie was pretty bad. I can see why the game.
That's what I was like.
bad.
Well, I can't imagine like they're doing great things with that game. That's fair. Number 2 was Colonial Marines.
Yeah, that one stink.
And then number 1 is Star Wars Connect.
Oof. Yep.
I
don't even think it works.
think I own that game. Is that?
Or do you own the dance one? What's the one with dancing Han Solo?
That's the one. Star Wars Connect.
Oh my
Han
goodness.
Solo. I'm Han Solo. I think I own that. I think I actually went out and bought that game because I was like, well, I kind of want to dance to the Han Solo song at some point, right? Like,
I need to do that hand pump
Yeah.
and watch Harrison Ford. You got to think, like, what does Harrison Ford think of this?
he's thinking, I have 2 houses. I have 2 houses, and one of them has a pool in it. So, fuck.
I don't
fuck
think
you.
of you at all, South
Yeah.
Park. Or it's like Star Wars.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Yeah. I have a Connect. I think I might have 2 or 2 in a box, and I pulled them out before and played them. It's like kind of fun for like 2 seconds. So
Yeah, if it works, it works. But I mean, I know there's like the one where it's like you're supposed to be like a force push, so you push towards the screen like you would, and apparently that's pretty neat.
Okay.
At least if I remember correctly, it was a long time ago before I've even touched a Connect.
That's fair. All right, but now we went through that drags. Let's look at the past. So number 10 is X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, that's a great game. That's a fantastic game.
Do I own that? Okay, so I might own that game as well. One of those games we'll cover one day. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have some downtime at some point. It'll make its way. We'll get to it. We didn't get it with our X-Men movies last year, but they just anyway, something happened. Number 9, Friday the 13th, the online action kill. That was a pretty big hit a couple years ago.
Yep. That's pretty fun. I don't know if you ever played any of it, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it gets you there. Number 8 is the Mad Max. So that was the Mad Max. What was the tie-in for the movie that came out in like 2014 or 15 or whatever that was. So
yeah. It's a Mad Max game. It's pretty cool. You can get all like the metal. Like there's lots of different vehicles and a whole world to explore, and it's solid.
Nice.
I mean, I like
okay.
it. So.
Number 7 is Ed, and Eddie, the Misadventures.
Don't know that one.
No. Number 6 is Batman Arkham, and I think it's just the whole Arkham series. So even from Asylum, which is a little bit more of a sequestered, isolated game, right? It's kind of more of a hallway to the open world experiences and like the Arkham Knights. Those games are absolutely incredible, right? What some of the best.
Oh, and they look beautiful. Like those games are still better than modern releases.
Oh, they're all just absolutely just so good. The company that worked Active Soft or something, Activeware, who made the Arkham games?
Good question.
City.
Rocksteady.
You guys did an excellent job with all those titles, and every time one's announced, I'm in. Yeah, I know the Spider-Man games, right? They kind of hold up pretty well too. But between Batman and Spider-Man, the amount of quality video games we've got from those two well-loved superheroes is just incredible, right? And these games are great. I think about them all the time, right? Playing Arkham City for the first time, like, wow. Playing Arkham, well, not Asylum, because that was the first one, but like going to the Knights, driving around in your Batmobile, oh, just absolutely incredible, phenomenal experience. Great series.
Yeah, it's a shame that the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game was not great, but again, when you try to shove a live service into a game instead of just being like, hey, let's just make a good game, it's like, no, we need quarterly revenue. I'm like, piss off.
Yeah, that's what we need. Number 5 is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
I think it was a PlayStation 2 era game. I've heard it was good. Speaking of old nostalgia reviews on the run, this was one of the games I remember that the guys talking about on reviews of the run that I always kind of had like an interest in checking out at some point. I just never got around to it, right? So the fact that it still exists on the list today kind of makes me think, I'm like, would it be worthwhile to go back and like buy a copy and play this at some point in the future? So maybe?
I think it's for Xbox.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. I mean, it should be solid. I think I seem to remember. Yeah, this one was also like really well received. I didn't own it because I was too busy playing DOA or Project Gotham Racing at the time. But yeah, I definitely one of those games where it's always like it piques my interest. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah, and like I've heard nothing but good things, so would not be opposed to going through it because other games on the list pretty good. So number 4 is Disney's Lion King for the Super Nintendo. See episode that
Okay.
came out last August. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we literally just talked about this game.
Talked about it a lot in circles. You mentioned it. People are like, oh, I love that. And the throwing mechanics with Scar at the end. Oh, it's great. Good old Lion King. Number 3 is GoldenEye for the N64. Speaking of first-person shooters.
Yep. See our episode on GoldenEye.
Number 2 is
James Bond. There you go.
Alien Isolation. A game so scary. I've only ever played like an hour. And I was like, no, this is my greatest fear. Brought to my life. Can't do it.
It's so good. And then they released the DLC to actually play as the Nostromo team. Like it, chef's kiss. Beautiful.
Yeah, awesome. Great. See, also, we forgot to talk about Alien and Aliens as our favorite movies from last year. So we have to have a producers meeting afterwards to discuss our future on this podcast, because remember when we wrote our rules, it was Alien and Aliens are great movies, and if you ever watch them, they're your favorite movies. We didn't even mention them last year in our recap. We're terrible people.
That's our bad. That's a editor's note. Go back and clip in us saying praises.
Yeah. These movies were good, but Aliens and Aliens 1 was really good too. Perfect. Awesome. Maybe as punishment, I will play Alien Isolation one day, so...
Oh, yeah. That one might be a Halloween special one time.
Well, that's fun. Okay, cool. And then finally, the number 1, well, I guess it was 2, it was Captain America, from Captain America, the first Avenger movie. Honestly?
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. And Kingdom Hearts. So 1 and 2 were split between those two, but it's just because I was lazy and didn't want to redo my list.
That's fair. I've never played this. It's interesting.
It is an adventure game, so you move around a German-occupied city. You uncover like new abilities. It's kind of a Metroidvania, right? Like you learn like shield surfing.
That's cool. That's like it's just one big. If it's a city, like, and not just like, oh, he's going on this mission now. It's like
and it's
I like
unlocked.
the exploring the city. That's cool.
Like you learn new skills and stuff like that. Like you'll fight an enemy or like a bad guy, and he teaches you how to like deflect bullets, and then you can use that ability to go and like knock out guys in guardhouses that fall in, like unlock little ammo caches and stuff, and unlock other areas of the game for you to explore. I remember having a lot of fun when I played through it one summer over a couple weeks or a couple days or whatever it was. But in terms of like Iron Man and Thor, from the same iteration, the same level, PS3 level games, right? They came out kind of similar time to this Captain America game, which holds up today. I don't know. I think it's worth throwing like a tip of the cap to it, right? Throw a little credit for this fun experience, right? So again, one of those games maybe we play in the future. So X-Men, Buffy, and Captain America. Cool. That sounds like
might be coming down the pipe, guys.
Sounds like a hot porno.
You know, I'm sure people would pay good money for that.
Wolverine doing Buffy. They're also doing Captain America. Yeah, sure. Yes. Great. Awesome. Okay.
And Kingdom Hearts. Do we need to say things about Kingdom Hearts? People sing its praises enough.
It's got Goofy.
Yep.
Did you know Goofy's last name is Goof?
Goofy Goof?
Yeah, that's his name. That's his actual name. His name's Goofy Goof.
That's ridiculous.
We watched the Goofy movie last summer.
Okay.
As a laugh one night, and my wife absolutely loved it and like cried at the end, and she's like, "What a heartwarming story!" But at one point, he like shows his driver's license. His name is Goofy Goof.
Nice. I wonder what his middle name is.
I don't know. Huh.
You know what? We need Kingdom Hearts to get to the bottom of this.
You know what's a better question to ask? What species is he?
He's a cow.
Okay, all right.
I want to say he's a cow.
Yeah, he's probably a cow.
He had like his girlfriend
Clarabelle.
Clarabelle, the cow.
All right. So. Sweet. Yeah. So with that wraps up this game. It's something, all right. Like I said, we're back at Wind Waker in 2 weeks, and then we're coming back, I think, with a Pokemon game in a month. So it's good times. We're coming through. We're still running the N64. This is one of those titles I think we had to get through for my nostalgia at least, right? This game is terrible. I would have told you it was good. I would have been like, man, South Park 64, solid game, holds up. Sometimes you have to go back and like face your nostalgia and be like, you're not good, are you?
No, and it's funny because like when we were looking at this, I was like, oh yeah, let's look at some YouTube videos or whatever, and it's like, no, go back. This is a great game. It's fun. It's like, is it? Now I question all your people's sanity because like, you need to go back and kind of retest what you used to expect was good, and it's like, and sometimes you discover like, this game was way better than we expected. Or sometimes you're like, oh no, this game is severely flawed, and here's why.
No, I mean, with that being said, too, right, it is one of those things where, yeah, I think it's good. Like Tyson said, absolutely. If you really think something's great, go back, revisit it with fresh eyes. Whether you like something, dislike something, your tastes change, right? Things do change. I don't think this is, by any means, the worst N64 experience I've ever played. If you had it, I'd be like, again, multiplayer, different experience, but main campaign, not great. But it's like, is it worse than Castlevania 64?
These are the questions.
Right, like,
I would rather play this than Castlevania 64.
Like, I'm thinking about our worst year, because we're like, oh, this game. And I'm like, would you rather play Army Men, Sarge's Heroes? So maybe there are just, there's some
bad
N64
games. Yeah. Well, and I'm sure it's like, oh, hey, Gex, I'm sure that's good. It's like, is
it?
Oh,
you would go back and be like, I'm so sorry for what I've done. Like, yeah, no, it's all good. That's just kind of this iteration. Although, again, Mario 64, first platformer, came out top-notch, unbelievable. GoldenEye comes out, great, awesome. First-person shooter, great, phenomenal.
Ocarina of Time.
Here's a great RPG adventure, great, awesome, cool. And then they just kind of like fumbled the ball for almost every other title. It's just, it's sad, you know?
Yeah, and even I was replaying some Perfect Dark. Even that's a little like, GoldenEye was the popular choice for a reason, and Perfect Dark didn't really take off for a reason. And I'm like, I see why now. But yeah, the N64, it's kind of hit and miss. Like, I mean, also Paper Mario. But even the good games on N64, people were like, hey, Banjo-Kazooie's a great game.
That one is, I'm actually, quite shocked at, to be honest. So that's, like, my reaction to Banjo, not playing it before, going in with fresh take, and being like, well, this game is not as good as I thought it would be. Huh. So, but I again, one of my favorite parts of doing this podcast is going back and like getting to relive these old experiences and being like, I see. I just like the fact that it was a game that said shit.
Yeah.
No, okay, awesome, cool, that makes sense. All right,
100%.
Yeah. So with that, like I said, we're back. Now that we've just been kind of rambling, I guess we have nowhere to go. I guess when you have when we're not like scared about time constraints, you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah, and keep rambling.
Sweet,
talk
awesome.
about how much we had a bad time with Banjo-Kazooie. But maybe Mystical Ninja will be good.
In a couple months, we're getting Mystical Ninja. So I think it's Pokemon Snap Mystical Ninja. I'm already playing it right now as we've recorded it, and I think it's a good game. I think we do have some gems coming up, so it's not all doom and gloom. It's just this one is a licensed title. What do you want?
Yeah, what do you do?
Cool.
But worth
Unlike
playing,
those other original titles, like GoldenEye. No, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. Just end this podcast. Okay, cool. So with that, anything else? We missed anything?
No, I even said James Bond. We're good to go.
Awesome. Cool. So with that, we'll wrap up for today, and see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yep. See you.
Bye.